Welcome to this session on brain-based learning. Hey everybody, this is the session on brain-based learning, and we're going to be covering 4 rules that we're going to talk about brain-based learning. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email and ask. Rule 1, emotions matter. Now, to test out this first rule that emotions matter, you're going to learn how to give the perfect high five. So you're going to need to find a partner, someone to help you do this. Take a minute. Okay, hopefully you found a partner. But if not, you can test this out later. The key to giving the perfect high five is to watch the other person's elbow. Now, if I watch my elbow, I'm going to miss and it's going to be a disaster. But if I watch this other person's elbow, I'm going to give a good solid high five every time. See if you can find someone to practice this with. So why give the perfect high five? Well, why give the perfect high five? Well, because emotions matter. Hopefully, if you actually did the activity, you were laughing, you were having fun, you were joking around, you were experiencing some positive emotions. And because your emotions matter, it allows you to feel good and to, in fact, reduce your stress level. Now, what do we know about stress and learning? Well, we know that too much stress limits learning. We also know that laughter reduces your stress. So hopefully when you're giving the perfect high five, you were laughing, you were having fun, and your stress level went down. There was actually an experiment done where they made people laugh for 60 seconds. You can imagine when they started this, they were laughing fakely, but by the end they were laughing for real. And they found that people's stress level was reduced both physically and psychologically. So what you should be trying to create in your classroom is a low stress, high challenge environment. One where there's resources and options and things that reduce stress, but there's still rigor and challenge involved. Now, one practical way you can reduce stress in your classroom is by using the think, pair, share. What you're doing is giving students a chance to think and to articulate their thoughts, maybe write them down before they have to share with a small group, before they eventually share with a large group. The benefit is they'll feel less stress about sharing, and you get more people involved. Also, even if students don't share, they've had an opportunity to think about things and get involved, whereas if you just have a large group discussion, it's easy for them to blend into the background. The second practical idea you can use is to provide resources. Remember when I talked about the low stress, high challenge environment, we talked about providing resources. That's a way you can reduce the stress level. Now, Richard Lazarus is a famous psychologist who studied stress. He said that originally we look at things as either a threat or a challenge. And if it's threatening, it's more stressful. If it's more of a challenge, it's an opportunity. That perspective can change things. So you want to start by promoting this idea of looking at learning as a challenge. Now, second level looks at things as what resources do we have available? So are you allowing your students to use each other, to use you as a resource, to use their textbooks, to use the internet and the cell phones and the laptops that they all have now? If you are, that's going to reduce their stress level. Now, the third practical idea you can use is to challenge comfort zones and provide options. Now, I mentioned before that learning takes place best when there's just a little bit of stress. If there's too much, we end up in a panic zone. But if there's a little bit of stress, we end up in this learning zone. Because if it's too easy, comfort zone, we're not learning much at all. So the best way to create this environment is to provide options. And if you provide options, you're providing the students with some control still. And if they feel like they have control, the stress level goes down. So you're stressing them out a little bit, but not so much that learning gets inhibited. Now, what was rule 1? That's right, emotions matter. Rule 2 is that vision matters. Now, I want you to think of an apple. That's right, in your head, think of an apple. All right, you should have something in your head now. Now, was it something like this? Or was it something like this? Now, every time I've done this presentation, every single time, people have thought of a picture of an apple, right? Never have I had anyone say, yes, I've thought of the word apple. It just doesn't happen. Okay? We think in pictures. That's how our brain works. And yet when we think about teaching and learning, so much of it is words. Now words are powerful, words are important, but if we can create visuals, it can help people retain and remember more information. Now why does vision matter? Well, there's actually an evolutionary advantage to vision. So that's a big reason why it matters. Now a practical idea you can use for vision is the method of loci, or a memory palace. There are actually people who do contests to see how far they can remember the number pi, 3.14, etc. And they'll use tools like a memory palace to do this. So what you do is you think of your house or another building that maybe you've been in, and you place items throughout there. So as you walk through your house, imagine walking through your house. You can remember every room, every hallway, every step you can take, and you just place items in there. And you can remember an order, and you can remember the items. Alright, what was rule 1 again? Rule 1 is emotions matter. Rule 2, vision matters. Rule 3 is that movement matters. So you want to create some movement. Now why does movement matter? Well, it forces us to re-engage. Our brain is a lot like that flashlight. If you put a flashlight really close to the wall, the light is small and bright. If you pull it away, it becomes dimmer and wider. And we don't want that attention or our concentration to be so wide and spread out. We want it focused, right? Well, forcing the students to move, you moving, creating some movement on the slides or this video requires re-engagement. Now one practical idea you can use is the walk and talk. In the picture here we have Albert Einstein and a good friend of his, Michel Besso. In 1905, Einstein had his miracle year. He presented the idea of special relativity. He also created a Nobel Prize winning paper and another paper addressing the photoelectric effect. This was a huge year and he did it all working from a patent office. Now he attributed much of his great ideas coming to walks and talks with his good friend Michel Besso. They both worked at the patent office. They would walk to work together, they would walk home together, and they would just talk about all of these ideas that they had. Now, you can use this with your students as well. Instead of just sending them on a break, get them to walk and talk. Get them to think about things. Or maybe it's walk and talk around the classroom. This physical movement forces them to re-engage. It also gets the blood flowing, which gives more oxygen to the brain. A second practical idea is the gallery walk. Now the gallery walk can be done in different ways, but the idea is that the information that you're presenting or you want the students to work with is around the room, instead of just in the front of the room. Okay? So what students do is walk around as if this is an art gallery. Rather than an art gallery, it's a learning gallery. And you can present information. You have the PowerPoint slides around the room and they take a tour. Send the students around the school or the rest of the environment to do a scavenger hunt and find examples. And you can have them practice this information as well by posing questions that they write right on the gallery walk information. Have them analyze and evaluate each other's work. Great ways to get them, again, physically moving and re-engaging. Now what was rule 1? Rule 1, emotions matter. Rule 2, vision matters. Rule 3, movement matters. And rule 4 now is novelty matters. Make it new! Now both the why and a practical idea that you can use for novelty matters is the importance of diversity and variety. If you change things up in your class, you will keep them engaged. Now you don't want things so changed up that they're confused and they're worried about what's coming next. So you want to have some structure. But within that structure, if they know, for example, in an online class that every week they have an assignment due Wednesday and an assignment due Saturday, or they know in their face-to-face class that they have to do this prep work every week, but that the activity in class might be a little different, that diversity and that variety is going to keep them engaged. It's going to force the brain to refocus on what's happening. The brain likes to focus on things that are new. So if you keep it new, but you provide options, keep it low stress with a high challenge, you'll be able to create that diversity and that variety. I hope you enjoyed and learned something about brain-based learning. And I just want to reinforce those 4 rules again, right? Rule 1, emotions matter. Rule 2, vision matters. Rule 3, movement matters. Rule 4, novelty matters. And rule 5? What? There's a rule 5? Of course!
Repetition matters. That's why I keep repeating these rules to you.